कि आगे की लड़ाई में जो इन्फेंट्री मैन होता है उनकी क्या अहमियत है?
आपने रशिया यूक्रेन का की चर्चा करी। रशिया जब डोनबास के एरिया को ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है, दे हैव इन्फेंट्री देयर,
बिल्कुल।
they have built trenches there, they have built defenses there, they've laid mines there. And as Russia is inching towards the Dnieper River, they are using infantry. So while drones, missiles will degrade the enemy, occupation of land, the final victory.
चाइना के ऊपर फोकस करते थे, आपने काफ़ी कुछ लिखा है चाइना के बारे में, उनकी फ़ौज के बारे में, उनके एयर बेसेस के बारे में जो वो तिब्बत में बना रहे हैं और काशगार में बना रहे हैं। तो एक समय आता था जब भारत में बात होती थी कि हमको पाकिस्तान पे फोकस करना है, फिर चाइना का थ्रेट आया, फिर टू फ्रंट वॉर के बारे में काफ़ी चर्चा होने लगी, उसके बाद 2.5 फ्रंट की चर्चा होने लगी। तो सर ये हाफ फ्रंट क्या है? अगर हमें पता है पाकिस्तान, आपने इतना लिखा है पाकिस्तान पे, चाइना पे, अभी हाफ फ्रंट क्या होता है? कि पाकिस्तान की जो फौज है वो कभी भी उतनी ताकतवर नहीं हो सकती जितनी भारत की फौज है, और इसीलिए शायद उन्होंने ब्लीड इंडिया बाय 1000 कट्स वाली स्ट्रैटेजी अपनाई। तो वो स्ट्रैटेजी सर, उसकी वजह से काफ़ी नुकसान तो भारत को भी पड़ा है। हम काफ़ी सालों साल हमें अपना सारा फोकस और अटेंशन पाकिस्तान पे लगाना पड़ा है सर। नमस्कार, फेयर ऑब्जर्वर हिंदी में आपका स्वागत है। मेरे साथ आज जुड़ रहे हैं लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल शौकीन चौहान। चौहान सर एक सेलिब्रेटेड इंडियन आर्मी ऑफिसर हैं। वो 11 गोरखा राइफल्स में उनकी भर्ती हुई थी और उन्होंने करीब 40 साल से भी अधिक भारतीय सेना को दिए थे। सर की डेकोरेशन देखा जाए तो गिनती कम है। सर पीवीएसएम हैं, एवीएसएम हैं, वाईएसएम हैं, सेना मेडल हैं और वीएसएम भी हैं। सर ने कई साल जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में बिताए, सियाचिन ग्लेशियर में बिताए और डीजी आसाम राइफल्स के तहत नॉर्थ ईस्ट में भी बिताए। इसी वजह से रिटायर होने के बाद सर ने सीज फायर मॉनिटरिंग ग्रुप हेड किया, जहां उन्होंने 2019 से 2020 में नागालैंड में शांति लाया। सर नमस्कार, धन्यवाद फेयर ऑब्जर्वर से बात करने के लिए।
नमस्कार रोहन, धन्यवाद।
सर आपका बहुत सेलिब्रेटेड और इलस्ट्रियस करियर रहा है और आपके एक्सपीरियंस को हम आज थोड़ा गेन करना चाहते हैं, हमारी जो ऑडियंस है उन तक पहुंचाना चाहते हैं। और
धन्यवाद।
काफ़ी लोग आपको फॉलो करते हैं सर, आप काफ़ी लिखते हैं, आपका खुद का सबस्टैक है जहां आप न्यूज़लेटर्स भेजते हैं। तो एक उसी पे चर्चा करते हैं सर। आपने हाल ही में लिखा था कि भारत और पाकिस्तान का युद्ध कभी खत्म नहीं हो सकता, आप ऐसा क्यों कहते हैं?
रोहन, मेरा जो महत्व था ये बोलने के लिए, मेन इशू क्या था? मेन इशू था कि हम एक ही देश थे और इसी देश से भी गॉट डिवाइडेड बिकॉज ऑफ आवर रिलीजन। एंड जो पाकिस्तान का जो साइज और शेप और ज्योग्राफी है, and the kind of people who have now gone to Pakistan and who make Pakistan, उनके दिमाग में ये कहानी है कि हम we deserve better from this partition. हमको कश्मीर देना था, कश्मीर के बाद हमारा हैदराबाद लेना था, हमारे पास ये रिवर वाटर्स वो लोअर रिपेरियन है, तो हमारे रिवर्स ये हमारे रिवर्स थे, हमको लद्दाख मिलना था। तो ये सब जो कहानियां हैं पाकिस्तान में, जोग्राफिकली, हिस्टोरिकली, कल्चरली, दीज आर अनएंडिंग स्टोरीज। उन्होंने अपने आप को बता रखा है कि हम विक्टिम्स हैं और उस विक्टिम में हमने लड़ाई करनी है। वाइल इंडिया, आप जानते हैं, भारत एक सिविलाइजेशनल स्टेट है। 5000 साल से हम एक सिविलाइजेशन रहे हैं। We may not be one republic as known in the Westphalian situation as a republic, because Westphalian norms came up much later. But we have been a civilizational state for 500 years. We have everything with us. Geographically, हमारे पास पानी है, हमारे पास land है. We are a peninsula. We are like a dagger into the Indian Ocean. Our people have traded for centuries. आज की कहानी नहीं है. We have been a civilization that has had great effect along our neighbors. आप जानते हैं, Buddhism went from here, culturally we have affected our neighbors in the southeast of Asia completely. अगर आप थाईलैंड के बैकग्राउंड को देखिए, इंडोनेशिया के बैकग्राउंड को देखिए, लाओस के बैकग्राउंड को देखिए, कंपूचिया या कंबोडिया के बैकग्राउंड को देखिए, तो दी cultural similarities are there. So we are a complete nation, we are a complete state, we are a complete civilization. But for Pakistan, none of this is there. And this war can't end क्योंकि उन्होंने अपने आप को ये बना रखा है कि हम विक्टिम्स हैं और हमने ये कंटिन्यूस लड़ाई करनी है. So it
बिल्कुल।
is on their account that this will never end because they will always remain victims.
सर ये जो आप बता रहे हैं, ये स्टेट ऑफ माइंड अगर हम इसको बोलें,
And
पाकिस्तान का स्टेट ऑफ माइंड,
it's
तो ये
unchanging.
हाँ, ये आप उनकी फ़ौज को देख के बता रहे हैं या उनकी आम जनता को देख के बता रहे हैं? या पाकिस्तान एज़ अ नेशन आप बात कर रहे हैं?
Pakistan as a nation is actually an army with a nation. It's not a nation with an army. They have allowed the Pakistan army to define their nation for them. Pakistan army always will be inferior to us, size, shape, situation, uh, in every way. So, like I told you, जब मैंने लिखा ये, I also wrote another article इससे पहले. I wrote on between two artificial lines. एक साइड पे लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल है, which is an illegitimate line. The legitimacy of the line of control is not there. We should have, as per the partition norms and as per the accession of Kashmir to India, we should have had complete Kashmir with us. So this artificial line that has been drawn to create Pakistan occupied Kashmir is an artificial line. Similarly, the other line on the other side, the Duran line, is also an artificial line. It is not recognized by Afghanistan. You have divided the Pashtuns who were Pashtuns for 5,000 years. आपने उनको डिवाइड कर दिया, वो कभी डिवाइड होंगे नहीं. So Pakistan as a nation is an artificial nation. It is an illegitimate nation. And legitimacy जब तक नहीं हो, it cannot exist. And that is why I say, एक तो ये लड़ाई will continue. And secondly, the people will always feel like victims. And therefore, this nation will continue to jump up and down like this. And they keep destroying themselves, reinventing themselves. But everything they do is for today and yesterday. They're not looking ahead. They're not looking at the future. And when you don't look at the future and you're creating only wealth for yourself today, so then there'll be definitely a problem. So this is why my contention has always been that Pakistan must look within. They must realize the situation they're in. When nations are formed, they are formed by people with similar cultures like you have in Europe.
बिल्कुल।
Clearly defined geographical boundaries. अब पाकिस्तान के geographical boundaries को देखिए, these boundaries are illegitimate boundaries. And therefore, when illegitimacy is there, this continuous strife will be there. People will never be happy.
बिल्कुल। सर मैं एक बात से तो बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ, 1 महीना मैं काबुल में बिता चुका हूँ और वहाँ अफ़गानिस्तान में मैंने जितनों से बात की, सब यही कहते थे कि हम तो डुरैंड लाइन मानते ही नहीं हैं, हम तो पढ़ाते भी नहीं हैं बच्चों को। और कुछ तो ऐसे बोलते थे कि बच्चे अगर स्कूल से पढ़ के भी आते तो हम बोलते थे कि स्कूल वाले गलत पढ़ा रहे हैं। तो वो उनके और ये आधे अधिकतर पश्तून ही थे, वो कहते हैं हमारे तो घर उधर है, हमारे फैमिलीज़ उधर हैं, बीवी-बच्चे उधर हैं, तो हम इसको मान नहीं सकते। तो इस बात से तो मैं बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ सर।
बिल्कुल।
दूसरी बात पे मैं आना चाहता हूँ जो आपने कहा कि पाकिस्तान की जो फ़ौज है वो कभी भी उतनी ताकतवर नहीं हो सकती जितनी भारत की फ़ौज है। और इसीलिए शायद उन्होंने ब्लीड इंडिया बाय थाउज़ेंड कट्स वाली स्ट्रैटेजी अपनाई। तो वो स्ट्रैटेजी सर उसकी वजह से काफ़ी नुकसान तो भारत को भी पड़ा है। हम काफ़ी सालों-साल हमें अपना सारा फ़ोकस और अटेंशन पाकिस्तान पे लगाना पड़ा है सर। तो आपको क्या लगता है ये आगे कंटिन्यू होता रहेगा?
ये कंटिन्यू होगा। रोहन, क्योंकि इट्स अ लो कॉस्ट इजी ऑप्शन।
हुँ,
आपके पास पॉपुलेशन है हु आर विलिंग टू डाई फॉर नो कॉज। वो जो भेजते हैं हम हमारे अंदर इनटू आवर नेशन एज टेररिस्ट आर लो एजुकेटेड पीपल of no consequence to the Pakistanis. So they send them. They are madrasa educated. They are disposables as far as Pakistan is concerned, and they feed them propaganda, ill truths, and they send them inside. So this will be a continuous process, and while this is a continuous process, we will continue to have to protect our northern borders, our western borders. So it means that India will have to be always vigilant. We will have to always protect our borders, that we will not see peace in this part of the world in this situation. And that we must always be prepared. As a good soldier, I must say that we must always be prepared to deal with these issues. And as we are prepared to deal with these issues, we will strengthen ourselves, because you have to look backwards, Rohan. Look back 600 years to 1427, when the Mughals first came into India. And when the invasion started in this part of the land, we were not India then, we were different kingdoms. But we were captured by a small group of people through a system of small conquests, because we had allowed ourselves to be divided into smaller kingdoms. अगर हम डिवाइड नहीं होते तो we can deal with these people. There is no problem. We could have dealt with them from the beginning. So these are the issues. History teaches us lessons which we have to learn. That you have to be strong. आज America has told you a clear thing, that laws apply only to the strong. In this interview with the New York Times, he has told you clearly that he has no other thought process other than that of strength, and he
हुँ,
will respect only strength. We have dealt with China for the last 70 years, and China also respects only strength. We have dealt with Russia. Russia also respects only strength. So nowhere should we feel that the European model of smaller states into a single European Union will be successful in this part of the world.
बिल्कुल।
It was successful in Europe because Europe decided to make itself one single entity. After they fought amongst each other for many hundreds of years, they decided कि यार हम we are small tribes, let's have small countries, but they created a single defense situation. In our part of the world, as yet we haven't reached that maturity where we can say, okay, we can have a South Asian defense force, or we can have a South Asian defense vision. So till then we will have to protect ourselves. And there is no alternative to this protection. There's no alternative to having a strong force to protect ourselves. And we will always be stronger than the Pakistanis.
तो आपने एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात बोली कि अमेरिका, चीन और रूस तीनों सिर्फ़ ताकत का आदर करते हैं। तो पाकिस्तान किसका आदर करता है?
डेफिनेटली स्ट्रेंथ। क्यों वो चीन के पास जाता है? क्यों वो अमेरिका के पास जाता है? इट इज फॉर स्ट्रेंथ। Why did he try and subdue Afghanistan? Because he thought he was stronger. Why did he think he could use Afghanistan as strategic depth? Because he was stronger, and he felt that the Islam religion would be enough for them to be one country. It doesn't happen like this. We saw it when Bangladesh was created in 1971, that Islam is not the glue that gets people to stay together. It is also culture, it is also shared experiences, it is also shared histories. Religion is not the only glue. So these are issues we have to, Rohan, look at in a larger frame. When we are looking at nations, we're looking at risks, we're doing risk analysis, we're looking at situations. That what is the glue that keeps people together? Shared values, shared cultures, shared languages, shared religions is a part, but not the only thing.
बिल्कुल। चौहान सर, हमने काफ़ी हिस्ट्री में बात कर ली, काफ़ी जियोपॉलिटिक्स, डिप्लोमेसी की बात कर ली, लेकिन मैं आपसे बात करना चाहता हूँ एज़ आप लेफ्टिनेंट जनरल रहे हैं भारतीय थल सेना में, और ऐसा अवसर सबको नहीं मिलता है कि कोई किसी नामी-गिरामी जनरल से बात कर सके, उनसे सीख ले सके। आपके आपके नज़रिए से सर मिलिट्री सॉल्यूशन क्या है?
मिलिट्री मैं समझा नहीं।
मिलिट्री सॉल्यूशन, जैसे हमने अभी डिप्लोमैटिक सॉल्यूशन बात करी, जियोपॉलिटिक्स की बात की। आप एज़ अ
आप
मिलिट्री
आप
जनरल।
आप यू आर सेइंग व्हाट इज द मिलिट्री सॉल्यूशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान?
यस, बिल्कुल।
ये एक्चुअली अगर आप क्रिस्टियन फेयर को पढ़ते हैं, एंड शी
हाँ
इज अ
जी।
वेरी सेंसिबल राइटर, she says one thing, and especially after Operation Sindoor, there were a lot of interviews of hers, and she said that every time India wins a war, the Pakistan army becomes stronger. It's a very axiomatic statement. Okay, the army that loses the war becomes stronger in its own nation. And she said peace can never come in the subcontinent till the complete Pakistan army is destroyed. Completely. Because every time you have a short war, a small war, as we used to, when we were younger, we always looked at the fact that in the future there will be no long wars. It'll be short, violent wars which will end fast because the world will force you to stop. So therefore, whatever you're going to gain in a short war. Create your victories, do that quickly, do as much damage as possible. But in the largest perspective, short wars leave a lot of aspects incomplete.
हुँ,
And it is this incompleteness that continues the process of enmity. So I would recommend that when we read Christian Fair, we also read this comment that India cannot have peace till the entire Pakistan army is destroyed. It is defanged. And for that, we need a longer time. For damn, we have to be prepared. But the other side is, Rohan, why do we want to waste our time? We can defend our nation. They say 1,000 cuts, million cuts bhi kar do, we are not bleeding that much to degrade our state. They're not degrading our state. Pishle 30, 40 years after 1971, have they been able to degrade India? No, India is only growing. It is growing economically, it is growing politically, it is growing culturally. So, are we being degraded? Are we being weakened? So, powers that are trying to degrade us should realize that this is only going to make us stronger. You see? So these are issues, Rohan, that we give ourselves the factor that the 1,000 cuts ke saath aap bleed karoge. Even after a million cuts, we will not bleed. And if that is what Pakistan feels that it can do, then we are okay with it. Because these are only pinpricks, they are not cuts. आप करो और भेजो बंदे कितने बंदे भेजोगे कब तक till when will the mothers in Pakistan allow their sons to come inside? Till what time will this continuous loss of manpower in the nation not affect them finally? Somewhere this effect is there. Now we have a fence that is fairly formidable. The amount of terrorism that used to be infiltration that used to come into India has reduced substantially after 2010. Substantial reduction because the fence along our western borders is a strong fence. Our intelligence has improved. Our ability to internally strengthen ourselves has improved. We are able to now use the intelligence to pick up agents from, or sleeper agents or people who are trying to infiltrate into our land faster. We're able to get terrorist attacks faster. So all this is making us better. So I feel that the cost is on Pakistan. We are not bleeding. We are only becoming stronger economically. We're growing, we'll grow more, regardless of what China feels, regardless of what anybody feels. India, India will grow. We are simply too large a country, simply too and live as a civilizational state. We have not cowed down after 1421 when the Mughals came. We have not cowed down after 1700s, 1740s when the Brits came and continued their rule through Delhi. It didn't change us. How will it change us now? So this is my personal feeling that we can deal with these issues. You don't need a larger military solution at the present moment. You
हुँ,
need to strengthen yourselves.
बिल्कुल,
And you
बिल्कुल।
look at geography. You have to see our geography. Geography determines the thought processes of many people. Formidably, the Himalayas are a very strong barrier.
हुँ,
And that strong barrier, what it does is, it limits the intrusion of people through limited passes, through limited locations. So it's not easy for someone to come inside a country with large amount of force. For that, you have to come through the Himalayas on the northern side and the western side. On the western side with Pakistan, actually, it was a part of our nation. So geography didn't make us that insular with Pakistan. But we have rivers. We have clearly defined rivers which can become uncrossable at a lot of stages and can be used as defensive lines for us. And then as you go south, we are a peninsula. We're surrounded by the ocean. We're surrounded by water, which are in many ways a barrier. So this is the reason why, Rohan, we can defend ourselves. And this is the reason why Pakistan cannot defend itself. Nature has not been kind to them. They might think that they are located in a geopolitically sensitive place. They might think that they're in an important place, but they're in a place where they're used and thrown away. They're used by the superpowers and to do their bidding and then thrown away. Every once in a while, they're kicked around. Every once in a while, they're abused. But who can abuse us?
बिल्कुल। चौहान साहब हमने काफ़ी वेस्ट की तरफ बात कर ली, अब थोड़ा ईस्ट पे आते हैं क्योंकि आपने काफ़ी साल उधर भी बिताए हैं और
Mhm,
मैं इसमें बांग्लादेश को लाना चाहता हूँ क्योंकि वहाँ अभी काफ़ी चीज़ें टेंस चल रही हैं
mhm,
और वहाँ की जो पॉलिटिकल स्टेबिलिटी थी, जो काफ़ी साल से चल रही थी, वो अभी एकदम खतरे में है।
mhm,
और हमने काफ़ी बयान देखे हैं कि बांग्लादेश के काफ़ी रिटायर्ड मिलिट्री ऑफिसर्स ने बोला है कि हम भारत का नॉर्थ ईस्ट ले लेंगे, सेवन सिस्टर्स ले लेंगे, जो वो अपनी ऑडियंस के लिए बोल रहे हैं। इतना आसान तो नहीं लगता है मेरे को होगा लेकिन बांग्लादेश वैसा देश है भी नहीं। लेकिन आपने देखा है कि जो वेस्टर्न बॉर्डर पे होते हो तो आपको पता होता है कि दुश्मन कौन है। अ, पाकिस्तान की फ़ौज कहाँ बैठी है। आप ईस्ट में जहाँ थे, जहाँ आपने इंसर्जेंसी देखी है, वहाँ बड़ा अलग होता है, बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स होता है क्योंकि एक ही घर में से एक बच्चा पुलिस में होगा, एक आर्मी में होगा और एक एक ने हथियार ले रखे होंगे। तो आपने वो भी ज़िंदगी देखी है। तो बांग्लादेश के केस में सर आप क्या सिक्योरिटी थ्रेट्स देख रहे हैं भारत के लिए?
mm. Rohan, to tell you the truth, I don't consider Bangladesh an enemy. They are misguided. Maybe they are used or being used by certain powers, but they're not an enemy. And they are a nation that is extremely poor. There's nothing they can give to their people, either by way of jobs or by way of food or by way of any issue, any kind of comfort. They are unable to do that. Reason is once again geography. It's a nation that is being eroded by the waters. They're losing a lot of land due to erosion. And there is a great deal of insecurity in Bangladesh. This anger that you see on the street is an anger against governance. It may be pointed by certain leaders there like the Jamaat to say India is responsible for their state of affairs. But I would say the Jamaat in the last elections got 16% vote.
हुँ,
So 70, 80, 85, 84, 85% of the people are moderates in Bangladesh. And they will not allow this nation to fall this way. So Bangladesh is not an enemy. They are friends. Uh, Geography says, geography tells you, Rohan, who can be your friend. On one side, for Bangladesh is water, which is eroding their lands. The only side is us.
हुँ,
So they have to be friends with us. And they are, for in their mind, unfortunately, dependent on us, either for electricity or for the waters. Once again, they are the lower riparian. The waters of the Ganga, Brahmaputra, Ganga, and all the waters of India flow into Bangladesh from the eastern side. So this is causing them stress. They want to be relevant,
हुँ,
but they're part of a world where largely the situation is irrelevance. So this happens in situations like this. This is just noise. We're not a threat at any stage. If you look at the larger perspective, they're not a threat.
बिल्कुल। चौहान साहब, मैं काफ़ी सालों से करीब 4-5 साल से मैं आपकी जो जो भी आप लिखते हैं मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ। एक टाइम पे आप काफ़ी चाइना के ऊपर फ़ोकस करते थे। आपने काफ़ी कुछ लिखा है चाइना के बारे में, उनकी फ़ौज के बारे में, उनके एयर बेसेस के बारे में जो वो तिब्बत में बना रहे हैं और काशगार में बना रहे हैं। तो एक समय आता था जब भारत में बात होती थी कि हमको पाकिस्तान पे फ़ोकस करना है। फिर चाइना का थ्रेट आया, फिर टू फ्रंट वॉर के बारे में काफ़ी चर्चा होने लगी। उसके बाद 2 एंड अ हाफ फ्रंट की चर्चा होने लगी। तो सर, ये हाफ फ्रंट क्या है? अगर हमें पता है पाकिस्तान, आपने इतना लिखा है पाकिस्तान पे, चाइना पे, अभी हाफ फ्रंट क्या होता है?
The half front that we talked about was that China was on two different fronts. It was on our northern borders and our northeastern borders. And the fact that China was helping Pakistan completely. Operation Sindoor clearly showed how integrated Pakistan is with China in terms of their ISR, that is intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, in terms of their air defense, in terms of their uh, they're using Pakistani and the Chinese satellites, they're using Chinese equipment, so they're completely integrated. So a western, northern, northeastern threat uh, has emerged. But once again, Rohan, I don't tend to think China is an enemy.
ऐसा
China
क्यों?
is, I'll tell you why. I have been to China also. I've spent almost a month there. And I'm talking, I used to be the India's defense attaché in Nepal from 2004 to 2007, December. And what I saw in China, and you come to know a nation's psyche when you read their local papers, that Chinese papers did not mention India.
हुँ,
We figured in the 14th or 15th page of their newspapers. Their front page was reserved for America and their growth. So China is an aspirational country. It's looking at oh, going ahead of America as a power. So their focus is there. The focus is not this side.
हुँ,
They are making life uncomfortable for us just to prevent our growth, to our aspirations of being a regional power. So these are aspirations. They are looking at superpower status. We are looking at being on the high table. We're looking at regional power capabilities. We're looking at different situations. So it's more an issue of a growing power wanting to subdue or keep the other powers down. So it's more that it's not they're not an enemy.
हुँ।
and they are not going to put much effort in being the enemy. They don't mind using Pakistan to keep us engaged. But personally, China would not keep its troops or waste their resources this side because they have to grow to a different level. At least they feel that they won't have to grow to that level. So these are issues, history tells you that China had never really come in this side. Uh, the last point they used to look at was Tibet,
Hmm.
to dominate Tibet. And Tibet, actually, during between the time when the British came and colonized India, the British had this concept of buffer states, and I wrote about buffer states also. The idea of a buffer state was that it prevented war with the main enemy,
Hmm.
with the larger power. So Nepal and Tibet were buffer states for this large area of India to not engage with China. Once China took over Tibet, that buffer state vanished. So that part is still, we're still a little unhappy about each other right now. But India has never been a threat to any nation because we don't have aspirations to go forward and to occupy territory.
बिल्कुल।
From the beginning, ये आज की बात नहीं है, 5,000 साल से, we have no aspirations to conquer. These are issues why when you take history, culturally, geography, it does not suit them to carry out operations inside India.
हुँ,
So
बिल्कुल।
I feel it will be what it is. Because we are two growing powers, there will be a little bit of competition. But in the larger perspective, we are, geography has determined, cultural has determined that we will be friends. We might be
बिल्कुल,
competitors or frenemies, but we will not be enemies.
बिल्कुल। चौहान सर, थोड़ी फ़ौज की बात करना चाहता हूँ मैं, इससे पहले कि हम इसको समाप्त करें। आप इतने साल थे, आप इन्फेंट्री में थे, गोरखा राइफ़ल्स में थे, सबसे प्रेस्टीजियस यूनिट माना जाता है गोरखा राइफ़ल्स। मेरे काफ़ी करीबी मित्र खुद स्वयं गोरखा राइफ़ल्स में हैं। वो काफ़ी कहानियाँ बताते हैं कि नेपाल से कैसे ट्रूप्स आते हैं और कैसी-कैसी उनकी क्या-क्या उनकी स्ट्रेंथ्स होती हैं। और आपने भी काफ़ी साल सर जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में देखा है, आप युद्ध सेवा मेडल हैं, तो आपने भी काफ़ी एक्शन देखा है। आप जब अब आज की लड़ाई देखते हैं, जैसे हमने रशिया यूक्रेन में देखी है, इज़राइल ईरान में देखी है, ड्रोन्स भी यूज़ होती हैं, बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल्स भी यूज़ होती हैं, हाइपरसोनिक मिसाइल्स भी यूज़ हो रही हैं और काफ़ी ऐसी बात चलती है कि इन्फेंट्री का अब कोई काम नहीं, जो मैं नहीं मानता, लेकिन मेरे को आपकी इसकी राय सुननी है कि आगे की लड़ाई में जो इन्फेंट्री मैन होता है, उनकी क्या अहमियत है?
आपने रशिया यूक्रेन का की चर्चा करी। रशिया जब डोनबास के एरिया को ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है, they have infantry there.
हुँ,
They
बिल्कुल,
have built trenches there. They have built defenses there. They've laid mines there. And as Russia is inching towards the Dnieper River, they are using infantry. So while drones, missiles will degrade the enemy,
हुँ,
occupation of land, the final victory, has to always be through boots on the ground. And those boots on the ground will always be the infantry. It is only the infantryman who has the capability to adapt. So while Operation Sindoor might have a snapshot of a 4 day, 3 day short, violent interaction, it does not change anything. Final destruction can only be done by using troops like the infantry and the armored, for the occupation of a place. So
बिल्कुल,
we will never go away. The infantryman has adapted to this battle for the last 5,000 years. Apne, from the foot soldier, you added horses, you added animals to him, then you added wheels to him. You gave him an ability to move faster into battle. But those wheels that moved him or the animals that moved him faster also carried behind soldiers who walked.
हुँ,
Because while the cavalry charge, जो बोलते हैं, leave the enemy stand for a while, they can't occupy ground. For that, you need the humble foot soldier who comes and occupies the area, who finally conquers it for you. So we are the arbiters of what you call the final victory.
हुँ,
The
बिल्कुल,
infantryman will always be the person under whose land and feet the final victory is defined.
बिल्कुल। सर इन्फेंट्री यूनिट्स जो हैं वो काफ़ी अपग्रेड हो रही हैं और एक अभी हाल ही में हमने देखा है कि भारतीय थल सेना ने एक भैरव बटालियन निकाला है सर। वो भैरव बटालियन एक तो क्यों निकाला है और उसका उसकी वजह क्या थी निकालने की? ये क्यों बनाया है ये भैरव?
Basically, Rohan, the Bhairav Battalion is 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 just a, an asset to a corps to give the corps an ability to react to situations faster. So it is consists of the light infantry, consists of drones, consists of weapons, uh, with which that light infantry can move quickly into a situation. So they could deal with situations where the special forces are required, but we don't have so many special forces. So you've been able to have this 250 odd people who have been given the capability to react faster, to help the corps in the tactical battle area. So just as you know, every headquarters into battle, every tactical headquarter into battle requires some force of its own. So this is the core asset that will help them move into battle faster. They're well trained, they have good troops, they have good equipment, but eventually it's just one asset to help you deal with the situation.
बिल्कुल। सर इक्विपमेंट की बात करते हैं, एक फाइनल आपसे प्रश्न पूछना चाहूँगा। पहले तो काफ़ी जो भारत का इक्विपमेंट होता था विदेश से आता था। जो हमने राइफ़ल भी घर पे बनाई वो इंसास बनाई उसके बाद अब जाके एके 203 आई है लाइसेंस प्रोडक्शन में। फिर भी फ़ौज ने बीच में 6 आवर अमेरिका से खरीदी और स्पेशल फ़ोर्सेस के लिए टावर इज़राइल से आती है। तो सर जब हमारी कंपनीज़ हैं जैसे कि ट्रिपल एस डिफेंस है बैंगलोर में, जब वो अच्छे हथियार बना के फ्रांस, ब्राज़ील, इटली को बेच सकती है, तो हम अपनी राइफ़ल्स और हमारा जो इक्विपमेंट है, जो घर पे बनता है, वो कब अपनाने लगेंगे?
Okay, fair question. Uh, you have to see requirement.
हुँ,
Okay, so we'll talk requirement. And let's talk from near distance to far distance. Okay. From 0 to 15 to 20 meters to 50 meters, you require a weapon. Normally, a pistol is used.
बिल्कुल, 9 एमएम।
Till 9 ho, 7.62 ho, it doesn't matter what it is. A pistol or a submachine gun is required. Short time reaction, quick, fast weapon system. You know? From 0 to 100, 200, 300, we had brought in the INSAS. Before that was the point 7.62. Usse pehle was 303. 303 and a magazine of 5 rounds. You manually load, used it. Would use the block and chamber tuck, aage kara, fire kara, fir kara, fir kara. You got the 7.62, which automatically loaded the round into the chamber and you could fire. Okay. It was heavier. It was a Belgian rifle, but it was heavier. To replace the Belgian heavy rifle, we were making a 7.62 in SAS. We were making 7.62 into in our own country.
हुँ,
Also, we created then for this range of 0 to 300, we created the INSAS with an idea that INSAS was lighter, you could carry more ammunition, it fired more, and it had a lower muzzle velocity, which meant that the round which was lighter would not kill but only wound. And at that
हुँ,
time, our logic was that wound a soldier, you required 5 to 6 people to evacuate him from the ground. But because the INSAS did not kill in counter-terror operations, we would often find that it was a liability. So we started looking further. As you have to develop, you have to go forward. The AK, meanwhile, we had brought into our infantry in large numbers, especially for the Rashtriya Rifle units.
हुँ,
To deal with the terrorists, AK had a fast, higher muzzle velocity, it had a higher kill capability, it had 7.62, it had more, greater automatic capability. So the AK came in and filled this gap for us. And slowly we were developing our own weapon system, and we developed the AK-203 along with Russia to fill this gap from 0 to 300. Okay. Now, then we said, yeah, why do you need two weapons from 0 to 50 and 0 to 300? Let's have one weapon system.
बिल्कुल,
So the AK did both. It was with both commanders and men, and we were able to use quick fire from till 300, 350 yards. Beyond 350 yard, we had the light machine gun, 7.62. That we did not change. We tried to make an incast LMG, but it didn't really wasn't really successful, largely because of its lower muzzle velocity. Okay, so that's how the weapon system, when you were looking at ki acha yaar, from 0 to 50, 0 to 300, 0 to 500, 500 to 1000, 1000 to 1500, what are the capabilities of using small arms for soldiers? These were the reasons.
बिल्कुल,
We are looking at LMGs that give us a range of 6 to 800 meters. Effective aimed fire range, light machine gun, carried one in a section. If it is light enough, we can carry two. So these are issues for the infantry that we need whenever we're deciding and looking forward and saying what kind of weapon systems do you want. Then you go from 0 to 1800, 2000, which snipers do. We have not created a sniper rifle for ourselves. So we looked at the Dragonov,
बिल्कुल,
looked at other issues. Dragonov was a very good Russian weapon. We still have it. So when our people are making weapon systems, each weapon system has a reason. Each weapon system is created for a separate purpose. So people might be creating systems, but they're not systems that we want to use because our issue is 0 to 300, 0 to 500, 0 to 1000, 0 to 1500, 2000, and therefore for each kind of system we need separate weapons. Sikh Soya, that weapon that you talked about, was bought by us as a short-term measure
हुँ,
because INSAS was not that good, and our ordnance factories had not yet been able to create something else for us. AK-203 had some contractual issues with Russia, so we imported six fires. Now the contractual issues have gone, and we are able to use the AK-203. So while I feel that we must encourage the Indian defense industry, but they have to cater for us and not just create weapons. We just can't keep buying. Our idea is there has to be similarity in in ammunition
हुँ,
because carriage becomes easier. The same magazine should be able to be used in the submachine gun, in the rifle, in the light machine gun. The same magazine should be used. The same round should be used. It makes logistics easier for us.
बिल्कुल,
So these are issues that complicate things for people. They might
हुँ,
say they created something, but you are then have to get separate. Like you say, you immediately said the 9 mm. Why do we need 9 mm when you have 7.62? So when you're carrying crates of 7.62, you also have to carry crates of 9 mm. In between, you started coming with 5.56. तो उसका
बिल्कुल,
लाना so you
बिल्कुल,
had got rid of the LMG, so you needed 7.62. You hadn't got rid of your pistol and your submachine gun, so you needed 9 mm. In between, you needed 5.56 also. So it became too many rounds and too many logistic problems.
बिल्कुल
That
सर, बिल्कुल। तो सर ये आर्मी, एमओडी और ये जो हमारे डिफेंस मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं, इनकी ऐसी आपस में तालमेल और बातचीत नहीं होती, ये सब इश्यूज़ रिज़ॉल्व करने के लिए या होती है?
would be like, world makes certain weapons that are better than the other weapons. The army would obviously want better weapons. So if they ask us, and I've been a part of the prospective planning, we will obviously say, get me the best,
हाँ
get
जी,
me what suits me. Because being an infantryman, fighting, my area to influence is from 0 to 5,000, 0 to 6,000 meters. There are 6 kilometers. So I have separate weapons for each part of this. Separate equipment to surveillance, separate equipment for intelligence, and separate equipment to deal with it. At 6,000, 6,500, I have the 81 millimeter mortar, right? In between, I have the medium machine gun. So these are issues that, we for each point I require separate issues. But at the
बिल्कुल,
same time, I want commonality logistically.
बिल्कुल।
तो ये कहानी।
जी। धन्यवाद जनरल शौकीन चौहान, आपके साथ बड़ा मज़ा आया, बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला और आपने बहुत अलग-अलग अंदाज़े और नज़रिए दिखाए स्पेशली 2 एंड हाफ फ्रंट वॉर पे और आशा करता हूँ कि आप फिर से फेयर ऑब्ज़र्वर के साथ बात करना चाहेंगे और हमारे दर्शकों को नई चीज़ें सिखाना चाहेंगे।
थैंक यू।
धन्यवाद।